If you rely on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, or VA benefits, you know how important it is to have clear answers about when your money will actually arrive. The truth is, payment dates can sometimes feel confusing, and with so many updates about deposits, raises, and even talk of stimulus checks, it's easy to lose track of what's real and what's just noise. That's why today's update is so important. We're going to walk step by step through the confirmed October Social Security payment schedule, so you know the exact day you can expect your deposit. No guessing, no waiting for rumors, just real information straight from the Social Security Administration. For millions of Americans, that monthly deposit isn't just a number on a page. It's what pays the rent, keeps the lights on, covers groceries, and fills prescriptions. Missing a day or being unsure when the deposit will hit your account can cause unnecessary stress. And when news headlines throw around terms like stimulus, raise, or extra payment, it can make you wonder if there's more coming your way, or if it's just another story that doesn't apply to you. In this video, we'll cut through the noise. The good news is that October's schedule is confirmed, and I'll break it down so you know the exact dates based on your situation. If you're receiving SSI, your payment date is different from someone on retirement benefits. If you're on SSDI or VA benefits, your timeline may not match the standard Social Security calendar. But don't worry, we'll go through each category carefully, so by the time we're done, you'll have a crystal clear picture of when your money will land in your account. And here's where it gets even more valuable. We are also going to address the current talk about stimulus-style deposits. Many people want to know whether there's really an extra payment or whether this is just confusion around the cost of living adjustment and early SSI payments. By sticking to the facts, you'll know exactly what's real, what's scheduled, and what to expect this October without the frustration of mixed messages. So if you've been checking your bank account, wondering when the payment will drop, or if you've been hearing talk about stimulus deposits tied to Social Security and SSI, stay with me. Over the next few minutes, I'll give you the full October schedule, explain how it affects SSI, VA, and SSDI recipients, and clear up the truth about any extra payments. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact dates you can mark on your calendar and the real story behind the deposit schedule. When we talk about Social Security payments, especially in a month like October when the calendar can sometimes shift things around, the first thing most people want to know is simple: what day is my deposit coming? And honestly, that's the most important question to answer, because knowing the exact day you'll have that money makes it possible to budget, plan, and breathe a little easier. So let's break it down together. For retirees, SSDI recipients, and survivors, the Social Security payment schedule in October follows the same pattern it has for a while now. If your birthday falls in the first 10 days of the month, you'll see your deposit hit on the second Wednesday. If your birthday is between the 11th and the 20th, then your payment arrives on the third Wednesday. And if your birthday is from the 21st through the 31st, you'll get your check on the fourth Wednesday of the month. That system has been in place for years, and it helps the SSA spread out deposits so not everyone is waiting on the same day. But here's the part that often gets overlooked. SSI, or Supplemental Security Income, runs on its own schedule. Normally, SSI checks arrive on the first of the month, but because of weekends and holidays, the date can shift, and that's exactly what happens sometimes in October. If the first falls on a Sunday, for example, the payment is made the Friday before. That can throw people off, because suddenly you've got two checks coming close together, and then a longer wait until the next one. In October this year, the payment dates are confirmed, and SSI recipients will see their deposit land right on time. The important thing is not to panic if you notice it showing up slightly earlier than expected, because that's just the way the calendar falls. For those receiving VA benefits, things look a little different again. The Department of Veterans Affairs usually pays on the first business day of the month. That means if the first lands on a weekend or a federal holiday, your VA benefit will typically arrive on the prior business day. And while that sounds straightforward, it can still leave people scratching their heads, especially when the timing overlaps with SSI or Social Security. That's why it's so important to check the official confirmed schedule, not just rely on word of mouth or assumptions. Now let's deal with the big topic that keeps coming up in conversations everywhere: the idea of a stimulus deposit. Every time there's a COLA increase or a shift in the schedule, rumors start flying that Social Security is sending out extra money in the form of a stimulus. And to be clear, there's no new federal stimulus check passed by Congress for October. What's really happening is that the confirmed COLA raise for 2025 is right around the corner, and people sometimes confuse that with an immediate extra deposit. On top of that, when SSI payments shift because of weekends or holidays, some people end up with 2 payments in the same month, and that gets mistaken as a bonus check. It's not a stimulus, it's simply the schedule catching up with itself. And while it might feel like extra money at first, it's really just your regular benefit paid a bit earlier. But let's talk about why these rumors stick around and why they matter. The truth is, for seniors and people with disabilities who are living on a fixed income, the idea of an unexpected boost in money is powerful. When costs are rising faster than benefits, it makes sense that folks are eager to hear about extra help. The problem is, if you plan your budget around a rumor and it doesn't happen, you can end up short on bills. That's why I always emphasize facts. The confirmed October schedule is official, the payment dates are set, and while there's no new stimulus check, the real increase is still coming with the COLA adjustment in January. Now, let's shift back to the practical side of things. Imagine you're on SSDI and your birthday falls on the 14th. That means your October payment will show up on the 3rd Wednesday of the month. If you rely on direct deposit, it usually clears right on that date, sometimes even a little earlier depending on your bank. If you still receive a paper check, it can take a few extra days, so it's worth considering signing up for direct deposit if you haven't already. It not only speeds things up, but it also removes the stress of worrying about lost mail or delays. For SSI recipients, the key date is the 1st of the month, and for VA benefits, it's the 1st business day. Once you know where you fit, you can mark the calendar and avoid the uncertainty. Another part of the conversation that deserves attention is how these payments interact with monthly expenses. For many seniors, the Social Security check is the main source of income. It covers rent, food, medications, and transportation. That's why knowing the schedule isn't just about curiosity, it's about survival. If you know the deposit is coming mid-month, you can plan your bills accordingly. If you get SSI on the 1st, you can structure your grocery shopping and prescriptions around that date. And if you're a veteran depending on VA benefits, the 1st business day becomes the anchor for your monthly budget. One thing I always remind people is that while the COLA increase won't hit until January, October is still a good month to start preparing. Think of it as a transition period. Look at your current budget and imagine what even a small increase will mean come January. That way, when the raise arrives, you're ready to put it to the best use instead of scrambling at the last minute. For some, it might mean catching up on a bill that's been lagging. For others, it might mean setting aside a little cushion in savings. The key is to be intentional with it, because even though the raise isn't huge, it can make a meaningful difference when used wisely. Let's also talk about those who receive both SSI and Social Security. That's a group that often gets the most confused about payment dates because the schedules overlap but aren't identical. If you're receiving both, you'll see your SSI payment at the start of the month and your Social Security payment according to your birthday schedule later in the month. That means 2 deposits, but they're separate programs and separate amounts. The important thing is to track both so you're not caught off guard by the spacing between them. And when holidays or weekends shift things, it can feel like the timing is off, but rest assured, the money is still coming. There's another layer to this discussion that many people overlook: banks and credit unions. Even when the SSA or VA releases the payment on a certain day, your financial institution has its own policies on when to make the funds available. Some banks release it right away, while others may hold it until the morning of the scheduled date. That's why 2 people can compare notes and one says they got their deposit a day early, while the other is still waiting. It's not that Social Security is inconsistent, it's just the bank's processing time. If that's ever a concern, the best thing you can do is check directly with your bank to understand their policy. Beyond the payment schedule itself, October is also a time when people start looking closely at Medicare, since open enrollment begins in the fall. And while that's a separate topic, it connects directly to Social Security because Part B premiums are often deducted from your monthly check. That's why knowing the October payment amount helps you compare it with what's coming in January, when the COLA increase and possible changes to Medicare premiums will both take effect. If your benefit goes up but your Medicare deduction also rises, the net amount you see could be different than expected. Being aware of that now gives you time to prepare. As we move through October, the most important thing is to trust the official confirmed schedule and not get sidetracked by rumors. The SSA has published the dates, the VA has its timeline, and those are the facts you can depend on. If someone tells you about a surprise stimulus or an unexpected bonus, take a moment to verify before counting on it. The reality is that payments are steady, predictable, and confirmed, and that predictability is what makes it possible to plan your life around them. At the same time, don't underestimate the emotional side of this. Waiting on a deposit, especially when you've got bills piling up, can be stressful. It's natural to feel anxious as the date approaches. But having clear information, marking it on your calendar, and knowing what to expect takes some of that stress away. Instead of refreshing your bank account every hour, you'll know the exact date to look for it. That peace of mind is just as valuable as the money itself. So as we wrap up this look at October's payment schedule, remember this: your benefits are confirmed, your deposit dates are set, and there's no need to rely on rumors. SSI is scheduled for the 1st, Social Security retirement and SSDI are based on birthdays and Wednesdays, and VA benefits come on the first business day. There's no new federal stimulus check in October, but the COLA raise in January will bring the real increase. In the meantime, October's checks are steady and predictable, and that stability is what helps you plan and move forward.